So in today's lesson, we're going to be continuing to look at if statements. So in this program, I've got a nice, really simple one. I've got basically a face that moves up and down with X and Y. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an if statement to draw this face only when I click with my keyboard or with my mouse, and it's going to draw where the mouse actually is. So to do that, anytime you use an if statement, you have to be using a draw loop, because an if statement asks a question and it does something if that question is true. However, if it's not in a draw loop, it's only ever going to ask that question once. So I'm going to use draw equals, and I'm going to copy all of that code so it's inside the draw. You'll notice I'm highlighting it again and pressing tab so it's indented. This allows me to see exactly where those brace brackets match. So it's in the draw. I haven't added a background for a reason yet though. So if I were to change, say, the X position, it's going to get a wee bit of smearing. Now I want to draw this at where my mouse is essentially. So instead of going through and changing every single X position and every single Y position, I'm just going to go X position. So where we're currently storing the location of that face, and I'm going to change it to a special variable called mouseX. I do the same thing for Y. So now I've got a program that follows my mouse. Doesn't have a background on it yet, because we're going to change our program still, so that we're going to add in an if statement. So this will only draw if we're actually clicking with our mouse. So I go if. There's a whole bunch of special variables that are either true or false. So I'm going to go mouse is pressed. And I need to have an open and a close bracket. So I'm going to put that close bracket at the end. And I'm going to make sure everything here is highlighted. And I indent that again. So you can see I now have kind of a couple different layers of indentation. I have the one here, so I can go and see the matching brace brackets for draw. And I've got the one here, so I can see the matching brace brackets for that if statement. So if I restart my program, I'm not pressing my mouse right now, so nothing's on the screen. However, if I go and I click, you can start to see I'm starting to get all my different programs, where I'm getting every time I press the mouse, and I could hold that mouse and I could press it. I'm starting to basically do that stamp program. So it's only drawing this. So it's only drawing when you are pressing the mouse. Every time this is not a true statement, so if you're not pressing the mouse, so if this variable mouse is pressed is not true, it just doesn't do anything. Now that's just the start of our program, our minimum expectations. And you can of course change your stamp program so it's not a very creepy Mr. Winston, so you can have it drawing your own custom design. But in addition to that, you can add different if statements from what we looked at yesterday or last week. So if you go down to the documentation, we go all the way down to, say, our keyboard, we know that we have key code. So key code allows us to do something if a key is actually being pressed, which is what we looked at last week. So you can add different if statements and expand your program. So you can actually say, if, say, key code equals up. We always have to have an up. We always have to have our open and close brace bracket. So now if the last key I've pressed is up, I'm going to make the background red. So if I press up, I essentially, and of course I need to make sure that I go off key code, otherwise it'll keep redrawing, but I can essentially clear my screen every time I press the up key. So think about all the different things you can do just by adding in different if statements.